since I've started doing this a year ago, I've started to learn about politicians maybe I grew up with and didn't know much about. And there's one guy that really has impressed me the most, probably the most, more than any of them. And that's this guy, Tony Benn, because I saw this. This is just brilliant. And this is, I think, why Tony Benn was so revered as a man. He does seem like to be an absolutely awesome human being.
This country and the world have been run by rich and powerful men from the beginning of time. It began with slavery. They owned the workers and the land. If any slave objected, he was flogged or hanged. And that kept them in order. The older I get, the more I realise every single generation has to fight the same battles again and again and again. There's no final victory and there's no final defeat. That in wartime, there are no economic arguments at all. I've never heard a general say, I can't bomb Baghdad this month because I've exceeded my budget. In wartime, you do whatever is required. We lost 105 million people in 2 world wars. 105 million people died, and that was the price of capitalism. That was the price of capitalism. Of capitalism. That was the price of capitalism. That was the price of capitalism. People in debt are slaves to their employers. They don't want the war. They don't want privatization.
Who was it that did that? Just the guy credit. So that was Ginger by Ginger Wildheart. Well done. That's absolutely fantastic. Now, he's a pretty, some of the stuff he says there. You just take it from the era he was in and put it in today. It stands the test of time. All the things that he's talking about all those years ago, all those decades ago. It really can be just taken out of what he was said right now and put in today, and it fits. It fits perfect. Now, these are just some of the placards that you saw from that video that I've cut, and I wanted to, give them a good, just a quick cursory comment. Just to these are some of the things that it's brilliant. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. Of course, it is. Judge Carlin did sketches about this. The last thing they want is an educated nation capable of critical thinking. No, they want a nation of people just smart enough to run the machines and just dumb enough to take the red, white and blue dick being shoved straight up their arse. It's absolutely spot on. They really are dumbing you down on purpose. Go watch the Kardashians. You'll see what I mean. We can find the money to kill people. We can find the money to help people. Of course we can. He goes on to say, there's another placard on this about war. Obviously, I'll go on to speaking about that. But we always have the money for war, don't we? They passed a budget in America of $16 billion for war, for defence, they called it. Nah, that's war budget. That's a war chest, that is. Can't find any money for Medicare for all or free college or, any of the stuff that will help the people. War, no problem. There are 2 ways in which people are controlled. First of all, to frighten people, and secondly, demoralise them. Well, look at what's happening in the UK at the moment, what we're subjected to. We're subjected to Russia is the bad guy, Russia is the bigger guy, Russia is going to start World War III, Russians are coming after us. Oh my God, the Russians, the Russians, the Russians. And what are they doing to demoralise us? universal credit, austerity, persecution of the poor, you know, throwing the bottom 30% of the income distribution over fucking board 30, 40 years ago. It's demoralising. And then obviously get them scared as well. Democracy is the most revolutionary thing in the world because if you have power, you use it to meet the needs of you and your community. Are the needs of you and your community being met by the government? Are they doing that? Is democracy doing that for you now? Perhaps we don't have democracy then. We voted to leave Brexit, remember? We should be leaving in 3 days. You see it fucking happening? No, neither can I. The one thing that is absolutely essential is that there shouldn't be any governmental control of the media, directly or indirectly. That's the point, directly or indirectly. They're indirectly affecting the BBC, I think we can all say that, but they're indirectly affecting all the corporate media as well. Of course they are. How else do you explain that the rest of the corporate media didn't poke fun at Luke Harding like I did in The Guardian when they published their ridiculous WikiLeaks Julian Assange Manafort lie? If there was any real competition in the media, the rest of the media, like independent media did, would be pointing fingers at them saying, wait a minute, that's fucking bullshit. Why didn't they? Because they're all bought and fucking paid for by the same people, that's why. And what he's warning there, we're in it. That's why people like me are fucking, you know, doing a news channel from a council flat. All war represents a failure of diplomacy. Of course it does, but diplomacy's out the fucking window now. They're not trying diplomacy with Russia. They're trying to ramp up tensions. They're trying to move us towards a Cold War. Why? Because it's profitable, war is. It's profitable. What fools we are to live in a generation for which war is a computer game for our children and just an interesting little Channel 4 news item. Those children growing up, playing their computer games, it's war, it's natural. Violence, natural. War, Yemen on the screen, dying children, yeah, it's just one of those things. Interesting little news item, isn't that sad? Carry on with lives regardless. We're doing it. It's our government that's doing it in our name. I think people would feel a little bit differently if that really was the case and they understood that their tax dollars were actually going to kill these poor kids in other countries. We can't afford, you know, can't afford nice things there. These are 5 questions for politicians. 1. What power have you got? Where did you get that from? In whose interest do you exercise it and to whom are you accountable? And how can we get rid of you? Interesting those 5 questions are, aren't they? You know what I'd like to ask those 5 questions to? Chuka Umunna and the independent group right now. To all of MPs, to be honest, but most importantly Chuka Umunna independent group. Because we certainly don't know exactly what power they've got and we certainly don't know where the bloody hell they got it from. And we don't know in whose interest they exercise it. Well, we sort of do, but they say it's not that. Shh. We don't know to whom they are accountable, and for certain, I speak for every member of the, in Britain almost, we certainly don't know how to fucking get rid of you. Doesn't sound like a democratic country, does it? And of course, this is the bit that he led to in the war. The bit I looked at, you know, there's always enough money for war. Always. And the reason why is this: the international arms trade is the greatest threat to world peace because it is supported by governments. There's money in it. When we bomb Yemen or when we bomb Syria, the stocks in Raytheon and Boeing, etc. went up. People made money. You know what kind of people made money? The kind like Theresa May's husband, who runs a giant hedge fund and has massive shares in these companies. He made a fortune. Absolute fortune. It's good for some, isn't it? Not so good for others. Good for those people in the 1% making all this money off war and destruction and watching things blow crap up halfway around the world. Not so much for education and nurses and NHS and doctors at home. There is no moral difference between a stealth bomber and a suicide bomber. They both kill innocent people for political reasons. Now, I'm reminded of the Manchester bombing attack and how, you know, This was apparent suicide bomber, he killed himself. It was horrific. And obviously the Ariana Grande concert, wasn't it? It was horrific. And obviously that has scarred and affected everybody who was there at the horrific terrorist attack. It's scarred them for life. To those in Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan, those families over in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan and Yemen and all those other places that are being bombed right now, do you think when a Raytheon rocket goes straight through their roof and kills members of their family, they differentiate between a drone and a suicide bomber? They don't at all. It's still death, it's still murder, it's still murder of innocent people. Remember, 90% of all people killed by drone strikes are innocent. And that's the Pentagon's own fucking figures. You can guarantee they're screwing them as much as possible. Ideas are more powerful than guns. They are. And this is why the media are so derelict in their duties and have been, especially over the last 2 years when they've been pushing this Russiagate nonsense, they've been pushing this anti-Semitic nonsense. Because it's not based in fact. It's not. It's just trying to push a political gain, that's all it is. It's just being a fucking PR company for whatever government crap they want to do next. That's all the media are doing. They're not actually, you know, having interviews with the educated amongst us, with the teachers, with the professors, with the scientists, with the visionaries, they're not propping those people up. No, they're going straight to the CIA, they're going straight to GCHQ, they're getting the marching orders from the government. They're getting their marching orders and they're giving us the news and the opinions of the very people who have led us into fucking war for 20 years. Just look at who's, you know, running the Integrity Initiative. Which leaves me, by the way, mentioning that, I want to mention this guy because one of my favourite quotes is this. And you can see where I'm going with this. This is just terrible. It's awful what is happening in the world right now. But one of my favourite quotes is this. It's by Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. I'm not going to do nothing. I refuse to do it. Because evil right now is triumphing. Right now it is. He was a very smart man, Edmund Burke was. He's the sort of person that if he were alive today, we should be actually getting our advice from and getting the, you know, the facts from and listening to what he thinks. And you know what the sad thing is? If he was alive today and people were doing that, chances are the Integrity Initiative would be smearing him and slandering him and calling him an anti-Semitic Putin puppet. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you're still subscribed and click the bell below for a notification of when I drop further videos. Also click through to my website to find out ways which you can support me. I can't do this without your support and I really appreciate it. Till next time, peace and take care.